here's how to solo complete the main Easter egg on Liberty Falls. Now, this guide assumes you're already familiar with completing some extra side quests, such as crafting the free jet gun and doing the Aetherella Easter egg. For a more detailed step-by-step walkthrough covering everything in one video, check out my extended solo guide, which is linked down below. With that being said, the first thing you need to do to start this Easter egg is make your way over to the church and interact with this machine to eventually spawn a Dark Aether scientist. Next, you'll need to acquire the jet gun. You can get this from the mystery box, by crafting a free one, or potentially by completing SAM trials. Once you've got the jet gun, make your way to the comic book store and use the gun's primary fire to pull down this canister that's floating above the ceiling tiles. Next, if you head up to the Washington Avenue area and jump off the Speed Cola roof onto this truck, you should be able to see the next part you'll need to collect through the building's second floor window. Again, just use the jet gun to retrieve it. Finally, make your way over to the church, and the third part you'll need to retrieve can be found floating to your right when you first enter. Once you've got all three of those parts, you'll then need to zipline over to the bank's roof, or the Alamo as it's called in-game, and you're going to craft the LTG device at this back workbench. Now you need to make your way back to the church and interact with that machine again to collect an Aether Canister. While holding this canister, you will not be able to sprint, but you can drop it if need be. So go ahead and carry that over to the trap in the Hill Street area, and you'll want to drop it near one of the trap's field mines. After that, you'll then head toward the cemetery and place the LTG device on this module that's surrounded by a small ether storm. Doing this will immediately begin a 60-second defense challenge, where you have to make sure zombies don't get too close to the portal and get zapped up. If they do, the portal's stability will quickly deplete, which is indicated on screen. As long as you're doing a full rotation around the device and making sure to kill any zombie before it gets even close, you should be able to complete this without too much hassle. I found the best weapons to use for this are either the ray gun or the upgraded GS45, which is essentially just a single Mustang and Sally. You can actually buy this on the wall at spawn, so I would definitely recommend getting that and work on upgrading it. Anyway, if the portal stability is completely drained before the time is up, you'll just have to try it again on the next round by simply interacting with it. When you do complete it, what will happen is either an HVT Mangler or Abomination will spawn, and you need to try and damage it until you get a quote saying it's ready to be collected. You'll also know you've damaged it enough when it begins to glow purple like so. Now you need to run back down to the Aether Canister you placed, and wait for the HVT to get close. Once it's almost right next to it, activate the trap, then you need to try and kill the HVT while it's still inside the trap's energy field so the essence can be transferred into the canister. From there, you'll then need to pick the canister back up and return it to the same machine you retrieved it from in the church. Again, you will not be able to sprint during this, and you now also have to get there within a minute and a half. Now, if you do happen to fail a canister step and the time runs out, you'll have to carry the canister back to the trap, place it back down, then wait to respawn the HVT on the next round to try it again. Anyway, once you do place the canister into the machine, a small drawer will open up for you to collect the Strauss Counter, which will replace your tactical equipment. Now, before moving on to the next step, you'll want to head back out into the cemetery and retrieve the LTG device, since we'll need to use it again later at a different location. So, for the next step, you'll need to visit 3 projectors around the map and calibrate them. This is done by simply interacting with a projector until its top light changes. The first one can be found near PhD in the patch of grass outside the bowling alley. The second one can be found by ziplining up onto the bank's roof, then dropping down onto the Yummy Freeze rooftop. And the final projector is located in the Groundskeeper's yard, which is just past the Jetgun's toolshed. Now, you'll know what color to actually set these to by pulling out that Strauss counter. When you get close to a projector, the counter screen will change to either green, yellow, or red. To successfully calibrate these, you're basically going to change each projector's color to the opposite of whatever your counter displays when in range. So a green counter would mean a red projector, and a red counter would mean a green projector. The only one that stays the same is yellow. If your counter reads yellow, simply change the projector to match. If done correctly, all 3 of them will shoot a beam of light towards spawn. This can take some time to actually happen, so just give it a couple of seconds after finishing that last projector. You can now also get rid of the Strauss counter since it's no longer needed. Next, go ahead and make your way to spawn, but along the way I would recommend visiting the bank and buying this left side debris. This opens up a faster path between these 2 areas, which we'll be using in just a second. Anyway, you'll now be able to collect a second Aether Canister from this containment unit at spawn. Again, go ahead and drop this one near the area's trap, and you'll now need to repeat the same defense challenge to spawn an HVT, this time at the Riverside Ether Storm. So, place down the LTG device, defend the portal, damage the HVT until it glows purple, then activate the trap to slow the HVT near the canister and kill it. And just like before, you'll have 90 seconds to carry this canister back to the church. If you actually head through the ice cream shop we just opened up, you'll be able to quickly zipline up to the bank's roof, then run across and zipline all the way over to the cemetery. Finally, once you place the canister in the machine, you're now ready for the boss fight. The best combo to take into this fight will always be an upgraded ray gun and jet gun, but it's also very doable with the upgraded GS45, as I mentioned earlier. You should also get all of your perks, full armor, monkey bombs, and an extra score streak like the Mutant Injector if you can either find one or craft it at a workbench. I would also recommend setting up the Aetherella Easter egg before this, because that thing is insanely powerful and it makes you invincible for about a minute and a half. Again, check out my extended solo guide for more details. With that in place, you can now interact with the machine to begin the boss fight. Now, this fight is fairly straightforward, but still quite challenging. You simply need to survive against waves of zombies, manglers, abominations, and eventually HVTs, killing them to charge the machine. There are 3 stages to this fight, each of which are broken up by either a max ammo or a max armor power-up. Most of the time you'll be surviving against zombies, but you'll need to pay close attention to the Vermin as they can quickly delete your armor, so try to eliminate those ASAP. Speaking of armor, don't forget to replate and try to collect as much as possible from the ground so you always have some ready to go. There's also an ammo crate in the back corner of the church if you ever need it. As mentioned earlier, the ray gun and the jet gun, both upgraded, will significantly help in handling the first 2 stages. Also, if you have yourself a Mutant Injection, that can come in handy too. Whenever I get one in my game, I usually hang on to it until the boss fight, and then use it during the second stage to take out at least half of the HVT Mangler's health. Now, once you've reached stage 3, an HVT Abomination and Mangler will spawn, so it's at that time I would collect the last figurine we stowed away to finally become Aetherella. She'll eventually fire lasers from her eyes, and all you have to do is point yourself in the general direction of the HVTs, and the lasers will automatically lock on. As you can see, this completely melts anything in its path, and before you know it, you'll complete the boss fight with ease. When you do, you'll actually go down at the very end, but don't worry, that's all part of the cutscene that soon follows. Good luck, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.